If you're looking in the Baton Rouge suburbs for a place to call home that has that small town feel, but still it's super convenient to get into Baton Rouge, then Watson, Louisiana may be the perfect place for you. Stick around because I'm going to tell you all about Watson, and we're getting after it right now. Hey everybody, I'm Sean Ramos and welcome to the Living in Louisiana channel, where we talk about everything that you need to know when it comes to moving to and living in Louisiana. If that sounds like something you want to follow along with, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell because I'm putting out new videos every single week where we talk about just that. And if you didn't know, I am a licensed realtor in the state of Louisiana, and as much as I love making these videos for you guys, what I really love is to help you with your real estate needs. So that number that's popping up on your screen right now, every single one of those calls, texts, or emails comes directly to me, and I love helping you guys out with this stuff. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any specific questions or needs when it comes to making that move. All right, guys, so today we're talking about Watson, Louisiana. And this is my town. This is where I went to high school. It's where I've lived the past few years, and I'm actually in the process of building our dream house right now. So we're here for the long haul. And let me tell you a little bit about Watson. So with the exception of the post office, you're not going to find a Watson, Louisiana address. This is an unincorporated community. It's part of the Baton Rouge MSA, and that's Metropolitan Statistical Area. So anybody that lives in Watson is actually going to have a Denham Springs, Louisiana address with zip code 70706 instead of the typical Denham Springs 70726 zip code. But that 70706 zip code can be a bit tricky. So it does cover the whole area of Watson, but it also goes outside of Watson, on the north side, even into a whole different parish. Most of the people I talk to that want to live in Watson want to be here because of the highly desirable Live Oak schools. But you got to be careful when you're searching for a house online that you're not just blindly plugging in the 70706 zip code thinking that you're covering all of Watson, and then you're going to find yourself in an entirely different school district altogether. And as crazy as that sounds to me, it's actually happened before. So I had a client who I didn't help them buy their house, but I did help them sell it when they needed to. So they bought a house that was in the 70706 zip code. It was considered Watson, but it was just south of the border where the cutoff is for the school district. So they bought this house needing to be in the Live Oak school district, but actually found themselves in the Denham Springs district. So they called me to sell the house for them, and we got it done. Moved them a couple miles up the street so they got in the school district they needed to be in, but it was a really big hassle for them. I actually moved to Watson sometimes during junior high, and I stayed all the way through high school. And when I moved away, I always swore that I was going to come back because I love this place really just because it was just a small town. But back then, everything we did, we had to go to Baton Rouge for. So it was an easy drive kind of through the back roads to get into Baton Rouge and do what you had to do. So 20 years later, I made it back to Watson, and it certainly has grown since then. When I graduated high school, it was a 3A school, and I believe we had about 150 seniors in our class. But these days, Live Oak is a 5A school, so it's much larger than it was back then. So actually, it used to be one elementary school, one junior high, and then the high school. But now there are actually 6 different schools right here in Watson. Let's jump in the map, and I'll give you a little tour so you can see exactly what it's like in Watson, Louisiana. All right, so here we are in Watson. Now, this is kind of the center of town where it says Watson right here. The main road that cuts through is Highway 16. It goes north-south. If you go south, it takes you down to Denham Springs. And if you were to drive north, eventually it's going to veer off to the east and take you out to Amite and I-55. So, again, when I went to school here, there were only 3 schools. There was an elementary, a junior high, and a high school. But now you're going to find 6 schools in Watson, starting up here with North Live Oak Elementary. Then you got the high school right here. And I always call it the new high school, but it's newer. It's about 10 years old at this point, but it was in a different location, back when I went here. But you can see it's actually just a big, nice, facility here. It's big school, 2 stories. In the back, there was a turf football field. And now, this map is outdated because now there's a softball field and baseball field here on campus that are both also turf and really nice. So the old high school is now the junior high. This is where I actually went when I was in school myself. And this is actually also outdated. This is all concrete. This is all concrete now. These old tennis courts are gone now. And then they moved, built a big parking lot back here for the carpool and everything. So this is Live Oak Elementary. And then right down here is South Live Oak Elementary and the middle school. So the middle school is going to be grades 5 and 6. The junior high is going to be grades 7 and 8. Now, if you have kids that play any sports, or if you're just looking for kind of like a park area, we don't have a big, nice park or anything. The closest really park like that would be North Park to us in Denham Springs, which is a pretty close drive. But if you're looking for something closer to home here, we do have the sports complex here. There are playgrounds. There's a pavilion you can use. There's a lot of open area for kids to run around and play. And you'll see this track get used all the time. People come here just to walk and jog. And I guess when they get bored of the track, you'll see people walking all through the road that goes around it in this parking lot. But anybody has access to use all this stuff. There are some batting cages in 3 different areas of the park. And the only spot you really can't get in is this little fourplex of fields here. So these are a newer addition. The infields are turf, outfields are grass. But they do keep these locked up. And these are for the rec leagues to play in. And there are tournaments on the weekends for baseball and softball that they get to use these fields. But these fields have to be paid for. All these, if nobody's using them, you can access these anytime you like. Now, as far as shopping goes in Watson, there's not a ton. There's a few little shops and boutiques that you can go to. But for the most part, there's not a ton of shopping. You do have, as far as grocery goes, you've got the Walmart Supercenter here. But then right here, you got the local favorite, Oak Point Fresh Market. So this place here, I've never been to an HEB or a Publix, but I do know the people that live in the states that have those love them. You hear them talk about them all the time, like the best thing that ever happened. Now, I'd say that Oak Point here in Watson, in this area, has the same love that those stores get where they exist. But it's a newer, nicer store. Everybody always seems to be really friendly. You get good service. Their king cakes are awesome. Probably the best you're going to find at any store like this. There is fresh sushi every day. There's a hot bar for breakfast and lunch, and there's a salad bar. And as you can see by the sign on the building, they do have online grocery pickup, so you can order ahead and they'll bring the food right out to you, the groceries right out to you here. And actually during crawfish season, they do boil crawfish right out here. So you can buy boiled crawfish if you don't want to go through the trouble of doing your own. As far as housing goes, you do have plenty of options in Watson. You can go anything from little subdivision with small lots, small houses where the neighbors are close to you. You can find neighborhoods where things are more spread out and you've got bigger lots, or you can kind of get out in the country more where you can kind of be, have some acreage and be, have plenty of room around you. And that's actually what we're doing. We're building a house out here kind of further away, but we're building on a 2-acre plot of land. But they do have some really nice neighborhoods, some that I've grown to love over the years. Easterly Lakes is one of the ones that I like a lot. There are some, average size houses up to bigger houses. There are some decent sized lots, but, they're not overly big. You can find some bigger ones out here in the cul-de-sacs. There's plenty of lake lots to choose from. It's just overall just a nice neighborhood. And off of 1019, one of my old favorites is Paradise Lakes right here. Again, you can find average size houses and you can find some really big ones. So you can find smaller yards and you can find medium to some really big yards. But you see, like on this side of the street, you can see pretty big backyards for a subdivision. But on this side of the street, there's not much backyard at all. So there's some different options in here. Just the cool thing about this neighborhood to me is more the memories. It's a nostalgia thing for me. Long before these houses were here, this used to be called Thunderbird Beach, and it was basically like a water park, but just kind of in pond water. There's a big water slide, water guns. There was a little bumper boat type deals. It was just a fun place for kids to play around at. So got a lot of good memories of that place. It'll always be one of my favorites. And over here in Hunstock Hills is a pretty desirable neighborhood, and it's mainly because of the lot sizes. So you can find much bigger lots here, some up to an acre or so. And there's actually no HOA in this subdivision. So it's another thing people really like about it. But, everybody takes pride in the neighborhood and pride in their houses. So everything's well taken care of and it looks really nice. But you can find some bigger lots here. And again, some just fairly normal standard size houses up to some pretty big ones. And there's also a couple like new subdivisions that are popping up right now. One of them's just in beginning stages on 1019. It's called Riverbank, and you can find some like really nice modern looking houses. I think there's some modern farmhouse plans in there. It looks like it's going to be small lots, but just really kind of more upscale houses. And then also down here, Plainview Ridge is another similar neighborhood where you can find really nice updated houses, but you're not going to have a lot of yard to have to maintain. So this map again is outdated. This neighborhood is pretty full at this point, but there are still some brand new construction houses available right now. And at this point it's been long enough too that there are some people that are having to move out of the neighborhood for whatever reason, so you can find existing houses for sale also. But if you're looking for something kind of nice and really updated with not a lot of yard to maintain, this probably could be a good option. And this map gives a little better of an idea, but you can see, it's pretty full of houses at this point. But they are still building some. One thing that I do really like about Watson, and I see a lot of people take advantage of this, is if you are working in Baton Rouge, like at an Exxon or a Honeywell or any of the big plants that are out there, or even some of the plants or refineries that are across the river, living in Watson and even in Central, all in this area, makes it a good option. Where you can drive these back roads into North Baton Rouge and get to where you're going for work without having to go through this section of I-12 and I-10 where the traffic can be brutal at times. So, you never know what you're going to get into on this stretch of interstate. This kind of point where the 10 and 110 meet across the bridge, this can back up for miles and miles and miles in either direction. And it's not just at rush hour times. You just never know. Sometimes you'll go through here on a Sunday and the interstate's backed up for whatever reason. But with the big construction projects that are coming to try to alleviate some of this problem, for the next probably 4 or 5 years, this little stretch is going to be a mess. So I've always told anybody that if you work on this side of the river, that it's probably best to live on this side of the river. If you're going to work in any of these plants, refineries, or wherever, anywhere here in Port Allen, Burley, Addis, Plaquemine, is a good option to be on this side of the river. And there is a ferry down here too, where if you're in this Plaquemine area, you can get over to the other side. But other than that, you have to cross this bridge, and that's a nightmare. So same thing goes for this side of the river. If I'm working on this side, I'm probably living somewhere near over here too. Whatever you can do to avoid this section now for the next 4 or 5 years or so, I would do it. But living up here in Watson anyway, like I said, you've got the option to kind of take these back roads and get to where you need to go, and you can avoid that I-12, I-10 area. But really, whatever you're looking for as far as housing goes, Watson can probably accommodate you, whether you want that subdivision living or you want to get out in the country and kind of be by yourself. We can find you what you're looking for here in Watson, and you can take advantage of those really highly rated live oak schools. If you do want to look into making Watson your home, that number that's popping up on your screen right now, that's the best way to reach me. And every single call, text, or email comes directly to me. And I'm just here to be a resource for you guys for all things real estate related. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And I don't care if you're moving right now or if you're just thinking about moving in the future and you have questions. Happy to help in any way I can. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and click that notification bell, because I'm putting out videos just like this one every single week, and I don't want you to miss anything. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one.